Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer based in Charleston, South Carolina, who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is presented this year by Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Honda CR-V has been my favorite vehicle in Honda's lineup for years because it has great gas mileage and can haul a vintage furniture find with ease. In fact, it's so easy for getting out there in general, from the beach to the mountains to even the next photo shoot for a Southern travel article. Purchasing a CR-V from Townsend Honda means purchasing from a family-owned company built on service and connection with its customers, and they want to remind you of the joys of a jaunt down the road. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory, or if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Honda salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. The Southern Fork's culinary sponsor is Bottles Beverage Superstore, with 3 South Carolina locations: Columbia, Mount Pleasant, and Summerville. This locally owned beverage superstore is your one-stop shop for wine, beer, spirits, mixers, and party supplies. Whether it's a beer to fill your fishing cooler, a gin with just the right botanicals to brighten up a porch pounder, or a wine that has you dreaming of travel, Bottles carries it. Additionally, the local experts at each Bottles location know their stuff and will be able to help you find your favorites and suggest new or alternate options. All Bottles locations offer curbside pickup, which means less errand time and more time sipping. Visit shopbottles.com to learn more, and cheers to local and delicious sips this season. I first interviewed Germaine Jenkins for episode 14 of this show, a mere 2 years after she co-founded Fresh Future Farm in North Charleston, South Carolina, on a vacant city lot with limited resources. Since then, she's built and led a team that is creating abundance in a disinvested neighborhood, been featured in Food & Wine magazine, the New York Times, and Essence magazine, and she shared her story with politicians and policymakers, all while working day to day on farm operations and building community in the arena of food justice. Just as the banana trees and blueberries on the farm have grown, so have the ideas of, and the challenges for, the farm that is anchoring a community. Welcome back to the Southern Fork, Germaine.
Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful that you took the time in a busy, busy week. Will you tell us what you were doing Monday and Tuesday?
Well, it was Sunday and Monday.
Monday, sorry.
Tuesday was the day of partial rest. But we hosted our 3rd annual SC Black Farmers Conference. And last year we went virtual. This year we were virtual and a drive-in style conference for farmers to gather, but do so safely.
Well, let's get right into it then. When we last spoke, you were still in the build out.
Yes.
Well, and you're still that way too. But what I've watched is over 5 years now, 6 years, amazingly, I've watched you transform into a community leader and an anchor for something that I would consider is not just connected to Charleston or to North Charleston. It's really become, to me, you've become definitely a regional figure to look to for placemaking and innovation and things like that. Does it feel that way to you on the inside?
Oh, no. I can't, like, in my mind, get past, like, when we were pole vaulting into the farm store because the deck wasn't built. I still remember those days, and walking here sometimes like, wow, like there's custom shelves in this place.
That's right.
But I very much remember the early days when it was just grass.
But also too, that feeling of having a conference, having a community that wasn't around 6 years ago, that has to be feeling different. When we talked last, you definitely had this thing of like, I'm going to start this. I'm not sure what it is. I've got some people behind me that are like but now it's a whole community, right?
Yeah, no, we are like blessed in that way, that there are, what we saw on Monday at the drive-in conference were elder farmers, young farmers, like our whole conference planning team just kind of getting together. There was so much synergy with the speakers and stuff. So, where, once upon a time, even with my family, they had other things outside of the work they were helping me do here. It felt really isolating. And now, I just, know like that next Saturday, we're going to gather, with Black farmers across the state, and doing that on a regular basis is just, it's balm. That's all I can say about it. I keep saying that.
That's a great word. Yeah. It's a great word. Yeah. It's solace, right? And strength.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And laughter and great ideas. It's all the things.
For a lot of Southern Fork listeners, they haven't even been heard of what's happening with the loss of land with Black farmers and really the shift. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I can give a super like brief like history lesson. Like if you trace back, self-determination and food justice and the quality of food and the quality of life that folks experienced, who were Black in the United States. I think it was like the early 1900s where, Black farmers owned like 16 million acres of land. And now here it is 2021. And I think we only own 2%, or we've lost 90% of what like Black farmers had in the past. And it's, through issues with heirs property, but so many like governmental things that, boil down to like systematic racism. If you like do any kind of research around the Pigford lawsuit, and I really encourage folks, if you want the Cliff Notes of what has happened, go and look at what Acres of Ancestry has put together with their interviews of elder farmers who participated. And they have a great
active Instagram as well.
Yeah. Yes. Their YouTube page like was a whole schooling for me that just kind of reiterated what I felt on an individual level that's been happening since even before I was born, before my parents were born.
And that systemic thing is really because so much farming is subsidized. One of the big right? Am I right on that?
I would say, it's.
I love it when she pauses. She looked up to the ceiling and was like, Steph, I think you're simplifying this.
Well, it's like, it's commodities because of scale.
Right.
And white-led farms were, given the resources to be able to scale up.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Black farms were systematically deconstructed by the USDA, primarily on a local and sometimes national level. So, there's two disparate farm communities because that one was supported and the other wasn't.
I would consider this like an urban farm, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so how does being in the middle of a community change how you farm? Because you are a farmer, mm-hmm. and you're, master gardener and permaculture, and you have all of that. But now I watched you through 2020 become, a place where people could get the boxes and get other ingredients. And
we were just a farmer's market briefly from like October 2015 to February 2016. And then we just stopped working on the farmers markets because folks, who had limited resources were not going to come out in the rain and cold just for vegetables. So we just kind of like put the brakes on that and went straight into like doing what we needed to do to get our modular building certified so we can open the store. And since then, customers, many of whom don't have transportation, can come and say, this is what we got. We got, the stuff that we grew, our store brand, but we also have, bread, milk, eggs, and what else do you need us to get? Mm-hmm. So, like there's postage stamps in the cash register. We're doing lots of PPEs, and those were donated or we purchased them and then we distributed them out. Mm-hmm. So, it's way more than just a grocery store even too. So it's
a
not
hub.
It's definitely like a hub. And I'd like to go towards like an open source or open air community center. We got a lot of work to do still to get there.
Wow. Let's talk about a lot of the work that you've done so far, Germaine. I mean, this place is completely transformed from the fallow field, but beyond that, like you've raised money through Kickstarter, you're very important on social media, sharing things, the South Carolina Black Farmers Conference. I mean, just all of this other stuff. Do you get tired?
Oh,
do you ever sleep? I should say.
I sleep, but I'm sleeping and trying to figure out how I can pass off accounting work at the same time. So yeah, it's a lot of work. And, because we pay livable wages, our staff is small. So we're all kind of, working extra hard, especially, leading up to the conference. But now, the conference is over and we can take a kind of mini break before we start planning the next one. Mm-hmm. So answering your question, I do not sleep that much.
Do you have ownership of this land now?
We do not have ownership. Like the money that we raised, because of generous backers in South Carolina, folks gave us money from people in Japan gave us money to buy this land. It's sitting in the bank. And, from what we read, there's been movement around subdividing the space that we're on from the remaining space where the old Shakora Elementary School is. So my hope is that we hear something soon about being able to write somebody a check to finally own it. Mm-hmm. But we do not today, even though we raised some money to do so back in August of 2019.
Right. I remember that. It was exciting, and then it went nowhere. And then you're like, what?
That's part of one of the reasons that I have trouble sleeping is because, I try as much as possible to work in integrity. And I told our funders and backers that we were going to do something that, turned out to be outside of my control. Mm-hmm. And I just want to honor what we said we were going to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But one thing that you've added is a cooking element here,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so what is that really bringing to this? Well, let's just call it an open air community center? Let's start naming that.
Well, we started with COVID, and COVID was like the test run of us. Thanks to my buddy Chad Carter with Clemson, like putting like HACCP plans together so that we can do like value added meals. So, there were like chicken soup and pasta, kale salads, all of these things that we made like twice a month to supplement the groceries that we were giving away at 100% discount during the height of the pandemic. So, and to me, that was the way for us to kind of run an informal focus group on the kinds of things that we could sell as value-added items in the store.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's smart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we, that the other thing that's taken us super way longer than we expected was getting our food truck ready. So let me find some wood to knock on. Hopefully, we'll have a truck where we can prepare value added items and sell them in the store. So it's not just a monthly thing, because we went from twice a month through COVID. Now we have fresh and healthy to go meals that we do once a month, every third Friday for $3, to making it something that's available on a day-to-day basis at the store. We got $5 to be able to hire a farm chef, hire a kitchen manager to support his work, so that we can always, have like the freshest, most like culturally relevant foods available here, along with the groceries.
When you're like planning, let's back up, because you said culturally relevant foods. So that's another piece of this that's really come out into more of the overreaching social consciousness in the last couple of years, where if you're wanting to help people, they need to have food that they culturally would normally eat, right? Is that basically what that means?
Basically, yeah. Stuff that they, would eat. And like, for me, my focus is, what would you eat? Like, if, like, you're going to ask me later on about my, like, ideal meal, like, we want to do some ideal meal things with like what we prepare. Like, what are those things that you remember from childhood that you really, really loved and you don't have the time to make today?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then that's probably shifted what you grow as well.
You can't go wrong with a field of mustard greens, but that will never go out of style. The same with our turnips, but like, stuff changes seasonally, and what we know from our customers is that like fresh, locally grown fruit is king. So like, the Delwan from Delicious Carolina, who is gonna like do our farm chef work here, makes a blueberry pie that will. My mother wanted to slap me. It was. I don't know how he did it. It tastes a little bit like chocolate.
Wow.
But those are the kinds of things that we like are talking about, like reintroducing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying these things like, we got this backing and this money. I mean, there's so much just heavy lifting to keep this going.
Right. What
do you wish you could have told your bright-eyed, pole vaulting into the farm
self,
yes, person back then?
Oh gosh, what would I have told myself back in like 2013, 2014? Go ahead and find an accountant so you could not have to worry about that early on. That's something like I teach even in the nonprofit classes. Hire an accountant, and also like pay yourself. Don't do this for free for 2 years, because I ruined my credit. Like just using all of the funds that we had to kind of build out our infrastructure. I would have like pushed harder in the beginning to build infrastructure and fundraise so that, we, my family and those folks that worked for us could get a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, this has sustainability in it, but that sustainability has to begin with you, or it will not last.
Yeah. And And that's, I think, a lesson for anybody who's interested in doing this kind of work. First, it has to be, led by community members if it's going to be sustainable and transformational. And secondly, those folks that do the work need to be paid, like from day one.
And that leads me to my second question. You used the term transformational. How have you seen this transform the community in which it lives?
There has been like positive and like kind of scary transformation that's happened like since we started Fresh Future Farm. And like the positive transformation has been, those customers, who come and they don't have to worry that something that they want, we can't get for them. Like, there's comfort, for customers in that. The scary transformation has been the gentrification that started to happen, in this space. And, we, went to the city with a zoning map and picked a spot that had to meet like a bunch of criteria. And, it looks like, there'll be a time in the near future where the people that we want to serve are not going to live here. So that's going to change our model completely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are the two biggest transformational changes, and like also that we have like kind of been clear that we do mutual aid work because we're in the same boat as the folks that we serve. So folks feel comfortable to come here and rant about systematic racism, because we completely understand, and also kind of listen to what folks are frustrated about and then figure out how we can find resources to help folks in areas outside of what we do and with the farm and grocery store.
Mm-hmm. What are your biggest needs here?
Like our, money is always like a big need because one thing that I've found that's like super important about the work we do is, paying. Everybody lived here when they were hired, but the quality of their housing wasn't great. And when they looked to find something else, now everybody or most of our team lives in Somerville, and that's not okay. So like that's more expensive. The physical toll we put on our bodies, like delivering food twice a month. I really want to get to a point where we can afford health insurance. And what is like probably most strategic thing to do is for us to figure out as a coalition how we can insure all the Black farmers in the state. I think we need that volume of people to be able to do that. So, monetary resources, land, not only for us to expand what we're doing so we can grow more fruit, grow more produce to do all this value added stuff, but also, have spaces where we can launch incubator farms for young farmers to kind of test and see what it is that they want to do in the industry. But then we also have some projects here at the farm where we can use a lot of hands. So, folks who are interested in supporting with some sweat equity, you can go to our website, Fresh Future Farm, and farm right now is singular. So it's freshfuturefarm.org, and go to our volunteer page, sign up through Calendly, and get on the schedule to help us out.
What's been the biggest gift for you, Germaine, for this? Because this has transformed your life.
Yeah.
And in, I'm sure, positive and negative ways.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of stress trying to like focus on quality of life, as a Black woman, and what we know, not just on a local, but national level. Nonprofits led by Black women tend to be underfunded dramatically compared to their like white male peers. But what I find like so joyful is watching my glam baby have experiences that me and my children never had. Coming to the farm and just taking these self-guided trips around the space. And then me just watching her like interact with she's like really focused on flowers now. So it doesn't matter if it's a dandelion or calendula or herbs, she's got access, and when she starts talking, she's going to like speak agriculture. And that, to me is just like a very beautiful thing. And the other beautiful thing is, while I used to kind of be isolated and geeking out about specific, not permaculture, but specifically ancestral conservation and farming practices that permaculture is based off of, is like now seeing my kids geek off the same things and knowing that they're pursuing and starting their own farms outside of here. So there's legacy. I think that's like rewarding for me.
What's making you hungry?
I tell you, like it never fails. I'll just call Delwan Murphy and ask him a question about something we have coming up. And then it goes into an hour and a half. Like, what if we did this? What if we did that? Oh, a little bit of this with a little bit of that. So like, I can't, like, it's like, I used to watch Anthony Bourdain's show, and then no matter what it was I had on my plate, I just wanted to throw it in the garbage. That's how I feel talking to Delwan Murphy. Like, just, around the world on a plate with that guy.
Yeah. And it's inspiring.
Yeah.
It gets you excited.
Wiping my mouth just thinking about our last conversation. That's something I hope he'll make. Like a croissant French toast. Or no, croissant bread pudding, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
With lots of like fresh berries.
Yum.
Oh my gosh.
What is one aspect of this job that you have created for yourself that really meshes like a puzzle piece with an aspect of your personality, where it just fits you? Okay.
It's the freedom to make the most random videos about, like just changing like song lyrics to talk about vegetables. That was what I was doing at my house. So like to be able to do that publicly is
and they are fun. I mean, I know that you see me watching them often. So, yeah, and they're just running around in the farm and doing things.
Yes, and there's probably like 50 that you haven't even seen that are just floating around in my head. That maybe now that the conference is gone, we're going to bombard folks with some corny veggie wraps.
Oh, so you don't sleep much. So what's one thing that keeps you up at night?
There's several things, but farm related. I think the biggest thing that keeps me up is having to start over. And hopefully, with, what's like what we've read, we won't have to. And where I was terrified about that prospect, 2 years ago, 2 or so years ago, what we have that we didn't have then is a larger support system. But even with a larger support system, if we have to start over somewhere else from scratch, it's going to sting a lot. Not for us as much as I think it will for those community members that have depended on us over here. We'll have to figure out how to still care for them. We're not going to like abandon anybody, but it's just going to be complicated, and there may be a lag, or there won't be a lag, and we'll really like overextend ourselves, making sure that they're still taken care of.
Well, there's been a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still we still have some filming to do.
Still, it's in process.
Yes, but close to the end.
There's a lot of things in process here.
Right. Yes.
And process is really what Fresh Future Farm is about.
Mm-hmm.
And there needs to be a celebration of that. So to do that, I bring out my magic picnic basket.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I can do with this picnic basket is time travel.
Oh, wow.
I can go and get I can conscript anyone to make anything that you would like a specific meal, a specific person from any era. I can source a little bit, and I can cook a little bit. But I would prefer if you didn't ask me to cook and just to source more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to bring you some of your favorite things, and they don't have to go together in a composed meal. Just a lot of stuff that you'd like that comes to mind when I give you this idea. So what can I bring you?
Well, some of it, you just have to walk outside our store door to get, because I was just talking about like sun tea that's made with our mountain mint. And like if we time it right, like the Meyer lemons are starting to bud on the trees. So like a mountain mint, like lemonade, that's sun tea would be real refreshing. If you could go back in time, like to 2019, having one of our birds, that we raised here, like either the eggs or the bird or both as part of a meal, because that's what we, I think, did with the last flock of hens we had, would be scrumptious as well. And then I think everything I'd like is actually outside this door. Just like an interesting take on like a fresh, like mixed green salad with a vinaigrette, also made from ingredients that are right outside there.
Love it.
Yeah, just it's brain food, and it's just so good.
Is there one more thing?
Yeah, chimichurri.
Chimichurri is like one of the best things ever.
Yeah, they're like just, you don't even have to like salt or pepper. Just make a very garlicky chimichurri to put over top of everything, and I will be a happy farmer.
It's, I think, my favorite condiment.
Yeah,
it really is.
I'm making chimichurri as soon as we leave here.
Well, if you want to learn more about Germaine Jenkins' Fresh Future Farm, you know where to go. Go to thesouthernfork.com. I'm going to have links there, as well as images of the face behind the voice. I am honored to learn from her and also be in a community that wants to hear her voice. And we just want you to keep going and to let us know what you need.
Yeah, it's too late now. I'm not going to stop, Stephanie. I'm going to be...
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. So thank you so much for having me out to the farm today, as it was 80 degrees yesterday and about to be 40.
Oh, no. Let me cover these tomato plants. I'll leave here.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouthful. You heard Germaine and I mention a documentary, and that documentary is still in progress, but the name of it is called Rooted. And if you are interested in seeing more about it, the best place to begin with that is to go to freshfuturefarm.org, because there is a wonderful trailer right on the homepage that can give you some information about the film and also can let you visually see a little bit more about what Germaine is doing on the farm and her work for food justice. Food justice is a big term that actually needs to be anchored in real work, and Germaine is doing just that. So the documentary we're all super excited about. Like Germaine said, they're still doing some filming. So you're going to be hearing more about this in the coming year. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. If you want to learn more about it, definitely go to freshfuturefarm.org. And also you can follow Rooted on Instagram to just keep up a little bit more with the process as it happens. So, thanks so much for listening, and I will talk to you next time.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you going to eat all that?